If you're an underclassman in high school, I get it. I'm a college freshman and I just got out of this college admissions process. But if you've clicked on this video, you've probably seen other content along the lines of top 3 tips for high school freshmen. Psst, stay around for the last tip. I'm here to tell you that the advice you hear online is straight donkey ass. I'm not making this video for the average high school student. This is not going to be some hyper-edited TikTok content that you'll forget about in 14 seconds. I'm making this video for the students out there, the kids out there with real ambition. For the people with goals of getting into T20 and Ivy League institutions. This video right here is the blueprint for getting into the school of your dreams. Let's get right into it. Now, building an Ivy League application is hard. But more importantly, it takes time, which means you need to start as early as possible in high school. Now, this leads to quite a logical conclusion. If you need to start as early as, say, 9th grade in order to build the best possible engineering or pre-med application, then how do you know what to start working on if you don't have a career path selected? I'm going to give you some advice that's contrary to what all of your school counselors and the little sellout YouTube channels online say. You need to pick your career path as early as possible, and I'll explain to you exactly why that is. When people tell you as a freshman in high school that you have all the time in the world to figure out what you want to do, you have all the way until your first year of college because schools like Stanford and MIT, they don't make you pick a major until after you get that first initiation year done. Yes, that's absolutely true. I'm not just arguing with that. But the truth is, if you're just sitting there, waiting for the inspiration to come, waiting for some message from God to tell you that becoming a doctor is the career path for you, it's never going to happen. The truth is, unless you're actively pursuing careers, trying out different things, and really committing to a pathway, you'll never truly understand whether or not that career is the field for you. When you're a freshman in high school, you totally have the capability to look into different career paths and understand whether you like more STEM-focused fields, whether you like more of the engineering, the CS, going into medicine, maybe it's more of research in the fields of biology or chemistry, or maybe it's something completely non-STEM at all that you like. Maybe you like history and the arts, and you find that there is some kind of monetary value and career that you can provide there. As long as you find some field that interests you, and you start to build a resume around that, you start to just not even focus on the resume building, but just doing activities that allow you to pursue those interests and see whether they're a right fit for you, then you start building that groundwork to your application. Because let's say it does work. Let's say it does work and you decide that, okay, I really like aerospace engineering. We're going to use that as our example for this video. I love aerospace engineering, so I'm going to join some kind of aviation flight engineering club in my school. I'm going to start doing engineering related activities, maybe find some kind of engineer who's in Boeing or NASA that I can shadow for a couple of days, learn about their career. Now, let's say you do all 3 of those things and you love this. Well, then boom, now as a freshman in high school, you already have some of the coolest activities possible at that age to be able to build your resume off of. From here, the next steps are research, being able to dig deeper into the field. Everything is on path to building the Ivy League application. Now, let's say the main counter argument that people have to this. Let's say you do all of this as a freshman and you don't like it. Now what? The truth is, you're still winning. Because even if you did all of this and you don't like it, well then now you're a sophomore in high school and you understand now that you don't like it. So that work that you've previously done, it's also not going to waste. The thing about your college application is a lot of the activities that you do, it's all about positioning. So let's say you don't like the aerospace engineering, but you still like the engineering elements in general. Now you want to switch more over to electrical engineering. You like tinkering more with computers and that side of things. Well then some of the activities that you were previously doing, even if it was in the aerospace, engineering flight club, you can say that you were working on more electrical engineering type applications. You market it like that on your college app. And now everything is still coming together. And that decision, that realization that you like electrical engineering over aerospace engineering, that's happened earlier on. When you're in high school, there aren't really consequences to changing the career path that you're interested in. They're very, very minimal, even in regards to college admissions, because colleges realize that it takes time to really find your true passions, and with a little bit of marketing, you can build one cohesive story. But later on in your life, when you're you're in your third year of college, when you have a family with kids, can you change the career path? No, you can't. And so when you start thinking about these things earlier, you're always going to be in a better situation. Now, Pratik, let's dig down on this counter argument even deeper. Let's say you completely switch out of STEM, you realize that it's not the field for you, and you want to go into the arts. Well, the argument still stands. Now you know that engineering and STEM was not the field for you, and now you're going to go into the arts and you're going to pursue a fun, good career there. And on top of that, if we're being completely honest, this is a video for people going to like Ivy League level institutions. Of course, if you're going to go into something like the arts, it's going to be easier to get into than something that's like super STEM oriented, like CS or pre-med. And so even if you go down that path where you start with STEM and you flip over to some humanities type thing, you're still in a reasonable situation. You can make it work. Once you have some kind of career direction set for you, everything else falls into place. And this is now the section where I can give you the exact blueprint to base what you want to do in high school off of. This is your opportunity to truly plan out what you want to do over these next 4 years and make it into a reality. It might sound like a lot at first, like you're doing so many different things over these next couple years, but I'm telling you, as you do things just one by one, you start ticking the boxes. It's actually an enjoyable experience. If you're finding the career path that you like and you're doing the things that you enjoy, getting into an Ivy League institution and doing all those things, it's not a bunch of work. It's not it's a stressful process at times, but it's actually something that you can learn from, that you can grow from. Now, that might go over your heads as like a 15-year-old high school freshman. I get it. But I'm telling you, like, all of this work that you're going to do is 1000% worth it. That's your main takeaway from this point. If you're in your freshman year of high school, here is exactly what you're going to do. When it comes to clubs, the advice you hear online, again, trash. Do not just go try out a bunch of different clubs. That's straight BS. What you're going to want to do is, now that you have your career path or some vision for what you want to do, you're going to pick a small number of clubs, somewhere between 2 to 3 clubs. Anything more than that becomes hard, because what you're going to want to do in those 2 to 3 clubs is really commit to them. You actually want to start getting engaged in the club, go to all the meetings, just show up to everything, even if it feels like it's kind of useless, they're not going to talk about. No, show your face, make sure that everyone like there knows who you are, the club advisor knows you, the leadership knows you, because all of these things are seeds. One day you could be leading this club. So get involved in this and make sure it kind of aligns with your career path. If I'm going to like medicine, I'm just going to give you an example. I thought about doing speech and debate as like a freshman and that kind of pathway. But the thing about it is that it's such a big time commitment for something that doesn't truly align with my goals and aspirations. I can build those same public speaking skills that I would gain as like a takeaway from that club in other places. I can win awards that are a lot more valuable from other clubs. It just doesn't truly align with my goals. I know it's an interest of mine to go into public speaking, but just make sure that you're setting yourself up for success later. So if the club doesn't fully align with what you want to do, be very hesitant about whether or not you're going to commit all of your time to it. Because if you're going to do a club, you're going to do it well. Now, when I say dig deep into the club, there's another aspect we need to talk about. Get involved in some level of competition. Now, an example of this can be in HOSA. If you guys know what HOSA is, it's like a future health professionals type club where they give you exposure to the healthcare field, and different like doctors and stuff will come talk at your school. And as part of that, you also go to do some level of competition. So there's different types of healthcare competitions. For me, I actually did some level of public speaking within the healthcare field as my competition. And what you want to do is you want to compete and you want to win. You compete to win. You do not compete to just get a participation trophy or to get top 3. You compete for first place. I remember this was one of the biggest confidence boosters I ever had in high school, was when I competed in the HOSA. I believe it was in my 10th grade, and I basically set a mission. I said I was going to win first place in my public speaking category, and I grinded my ass off in order to do it, and I went to the competition and I won first place. You don't understand how amazing that feeling is until you do it. And so many kids go through high school as part of this resume building and everything without ever like having won something. You have to realize that winning is like a huge level of growth for your self-confidence and for yourself as a person. And it's something that really sets you up for success later on in life. You want to get involved in competitions and you want to win. And so try to, at least out of those couple clubs that you get involved in, pick clubs that allow you to have that element of competition, to really bring out that inner grind in you. As we wrap up on clubs, if you're involved in sports, this is the age to really start to decide on whether or not sports is the move or not. If you know that you're not going to be pursuing something like track and field in college, you're not going to get in on that and go for scholarships and play, then really decide whether you want to be doing it or not. Because if you're just doing sports for the exercise of it, I'm telling you there are far better ways to get that exercise that don't require a ridiculous amount of time commitment. You could be absolutely using that time in your freshman year to boost your resume in other aspects. Pratik, everyone does clubs. What else can I do as a freshman? Well, there's a couple key things that we're going to talk about now that'll really boost your resume beyond everyone else. First thing, get involved in shadowing. If you're interested in medicine, start shadowing with doctors. If you like engineering, start talking to different people in the field and see if there's some level of exposure you can get. This is one of the greatest things you can do in order to decide whether a career is the right field for you. And two, it actually supports your resume quite strongly. If you say that, oh, I was talking to this person and I learned a bunch of different takeaways from this, you can write about it in essays, and as well as if you start shadowing with different engineers and different people out there, you can start to network a little bit. There's a chance that you can use this shadowing experience to score some kind of internship later. There's a lot of connections, and it doesn't take much. I'm not asking you to shadow for like 5 months and get 2,000 hours here. Literally like 60 to 80 hours of shadowing like total is sufficient, and that's for doctor shadowing. If you're just working with like some engineer or something, bro, just follow him around for like 2 to 3 days. I mean, that in total, that'll be like what, 20 to 30 hours. That's enough to get enough perspective as you need into this field. And then with a couple different shadowing experiences with a couple different people, either in the same field or different fields if you're trying to switch up the interest, that is enough. And you want to build that foundation from freshman year because it's super easy to do. You don't need any prereqs for it. And if you're like a kid in high school, you're like 15 and you're like, hey, would it be cool if I followed you around for a little bit? I'm really interested in this field. If you're showing that excitement earlier on at an age that's younger than most kids have the maturity to do, then people are more willing to give you those opportunities. Don't feel scared and let your age be a limiting factor for anything. Here's one thing I really did in freshman year that took my resume to the next level. I had an internship in the summer between my freshman year and my sophomore year. Getting an internship between that freshman, sophomore summer is huge because it allows you to truly get immersed into a field. An internship is very much a make or break experience for whether you enjoy something or not. If you get like a CS internship, it doesn't even have to be like paid or lead to like a publication like some of the research stuff does. I'm gonna keep it dead honest with you. If you don't have either of those things and you just get the exposure, that is more than enough because you can put that thing on your resume. The internship that I had was absolutely sitting there on my college application as one of the activities that I did. And the person who you do the internship for, especially if you're not getting paid, this is kind of like a secret in on this, but they feel that they're kind of obligated to like help you out, especially if you do a great job for like 2-3 months and you don't like get anything directly out of it other than the experience, which is really all that we're looking for. They can write you a good resume. And so look into getting an internship. You can either do this through programs, you can do this through just straight cold emailing professors. I can make a whole video on getting research positions and internships if you guys want it, but make sure to try to get involved in this as early as possible because nobody else is really doing this in your freshman year. After you finish that summer, people will look back at it and you'll talk to all your friends and you'll realize that like they didn't do shit, like they didn't do anything. And so if you're able to get that internship as a head start, as well as continuing some of these other activities, you're really building the groundwork. Last thing you can knock out during freshman year while you just have the time is volunteering, right? Just getting involved in some level of community, local volunteering is just good no matter what field you want to go into. Colleges like to see that community service. In particular, if you're going into healthcare, make sure that that volunteering is being done with direct contact with people. So something like a nursing home or good quality hospital volunteering is definitely the move. For anyone else, anything other kind of volunteering is fine. Once you reach your sophomore year, if you follow the advice that I've said in freshman year, you've built up the foundation for it, well then now's your chance to get even deeper into clubs. Now you can start getting involved in things like leadership positions. Even if you're not at the top yet, you're not the club president, as long as you can get some level of leadership in the club, some vice president, some role, well then now you've set yourself up to get to those positions once you reach that age. And once you get some level of leadership position, well now you're truly known by members of the club and you're going to do your best to really contribute to this position. Work with like your club advisor because that's someone who can really give you a good rec letter later. And so when you're in your sophomore year, you're going to pick out your favorite clubs and get really involved in them. This is your chance to do that. Now your sophomore year will get a little bit more busy than your freshman year, but it's really like your final, slightly more chill year before junior year hits, and that year academically is going to be crazy. So what you want to do is build like your extracurriculars as much as you can in sophomore year. Now it seems like college admissions is still a long time away. You know, you have time to do this stuff in junior, senior year. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Your sophomore year is like super pivotal, and this is really the time when people start to even like grasp the idea of, oh, maybe I want to go into CS, maybe medicine. They're still figuring it out, but you already have a plan for this, so you're gonna crack down like crazy. I compete in science fairs. In sophomore year, I went absolutely nuts. I spent so much time on my project and I really took it to like an international level. I got some of my biggest awards in my sophomore year. This is your chance to go crazy with it because now you also have like the framework and the maturity. You have the learning lessons from freshman year. You've competed before, so you know what it feels like to win. You're gonna go nuts with it. Now, as you start getting into the fall of your sophomore year, this is also your chance to start prepping for your standardized exams. Just pick an exam, SAT, ACT, it literally does not matter. Do a practice exam for each to see which one you like. Choose the one. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to keep your preparation starting in the fall of sophomore year, and you're going to run it all the way through the school year. And while everything else is going, just find some time to study a little bit, do some practice tests every once in a while. You can watch my SAT prep videos if you really want to know what to do. What you're going to do is you're going to keep that prep going all the way until the summer. Now, when the summer starts, this is where you're really going to focus up because realistically, you need time to prepare for the exam, right? This is not really something you can cram for. But the SAT test dates, and especially with ACT, it's all the same. The way that they work is that there's like certain dates or certain like times where they schedule their exams for, and those are pretty consistent. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick an exam date, and for most people, that's going to be August at the end of their sophomore year. Because the truth is once junior year starts, you get busy, it can get a little bit tricky. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick that August test date, you're gonna register for the test whenever it opens up. You're gonna study super, super hard and focused during that summer. That summer is for me, I didn't do any other internships, nothing. I just cracked down and I studied so much. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your score to as high as possible. Really don't get yourself into a situation where you're like trying to apply to an Ivy League school with like a 1300 and it's your SAT score that's holding you back because you've put in so much work with all your other extracurriculars. Just do the same for SAT. Don't be that guy who's applying with a low SAT score and just gets cut by like an algorithm, okay? At least get yourself to like that 1500 threshold for ACT, right? 34 plus is like really where you're gonna get into that sweet golden spot where it's not your SAT that's holding you back, okay? Spend that summer straight grinding for the SAT, and in addition to that, while SAT is gonna be your main priority, you can also have room for a secondary priority. If clubs are running for kind of the majority of your sophomore year, they'll probably wrap up around like March, April is usually how it worked for me. Once those competitions are done, now you can transition into opening up your time for some kind of new extracurricular. Now, if you follow my exact blueprint for the entire video, you might have this question, Pratik, if everyone follows your blueprint, won't they all be the same? Well, this is your chance to really express your individuality here. Now, if you ever have some kind of intention to start like some kind of nonprofit, some kind of business, some special extracurricular to really stand out, now is your chance. You can work on this earlier in sophomore year if you want, but for me, I really focused on these clubs and taking that to the next level as well as some of my research stuff. And then I used this extra time that I had during the summer, so where I'd spend the mornings studying for like my SAT, and in the evenings I work on my nonprofit, which is what I did. And during those like couple months leading up to the summer and then during the summer, really just take your nonprofit or whatever extracurricular you do and just blow it up, right? Maybe work on it with a friend or two. That really tends to make it a lot more engaging. You can send it into competitions, get some awards for it, just build it up and then lead up to some kind of like capstone projects that you do that'll kind of bleed into a little bit of 11th grade, but it's okay. And that way you have like one really cool cohesive extracurricular that you can slap onto your resume. For me, my nonprofit was like in my top 3 things that I did, and I really only worked on it like super committed during that one block time. This is the optimal way that you're gonna build your resume while also getting all the main things that you need to do done. Anything else that you do in sophomore year is a bonus. Junior year is quite interesting because now your school starts to like actually get hard. Like you're spending quite a bit of time just working on schoolwork and you don't have that much time for everything else. So now the chance for experimentation and picking out career paths, it's kind of dying down. This is why we do that work earlier. But thankfully now by this point, 2 years of working, you kind of have a gauge of exactly what you want to do. So you're gonna pick those clubs that you had leadership positions in earlier, that you were more involved in. For me, again, it was science fair, and you're gonna go to the top level. So for me, from like junior year onwards and stuff, I'm basically club president here, right? Ideally, you can get to some like top level position. You're running the club, you're running all of that, and now you've really narrowed down exactly what extracurriculars you enjoy the most. So whatever like nonprofit type thing you were working on, you're still doing that. You're volunteering, you're just doing that like in the background consistently whenever you get the chance. These top 3 clubs, that's what you're gonna do, and you're just gonna kind of coast in them, while also like when the competition comes around, you're gonna focus up a little bit, but you're just gonna let those things go while you really prioritize your schoolwork. Because realistically, school is going to get tricky. You're gonna do your best to just succeed in that school environment environment to the most that you can, right? Try to get your straight A's. Just get through it, man. Get one semester at a time, one day at a time. Get through junior year. Once you enter the second semester of your junior year, now is your time to start thinking about college admissions. Because the thing is, this video has only been like so many minutes long, let's say like 15, 20 minutes by this point. But college admissions is now here. Like the time is upon you. So you're going to start very early, getting your research into different schools, figuring out exactly what you want to do in regards to like what major you're going to apply for, what schools you're going to apply for. And then you're just going to start your essay writing process early as hell. People tell you to like start during your like summer or whatever. Bro, I'm telling you, second semester junior year is your time to start. You wrap up your clubs, competitions, whatever. You get started on writing essays for your personal statement. And then as spring break and summer rolls around, once you've truly picked out your schools, you're going to start writing the supplemental essays. Junior year summer is where it can get kind of tricky, because if you haven't really done much research or internships and all of the stuff that we were talking about earlier during those previous summers, well then now you're kind of obligated to spend your junior year summer doing an extra internship or some other stuff, when in reality, you really want to be spending this time to just write your college essays, to get everything out of the way. And so if you have to do something like that, just try to keep the internship work or whatever that you do to like a minimum, okay? If you can get some internship where you're working like 20 hours a week or something, as opposed to like a full-fledged 40 hours, that will always be in your advantage. But for me personally, I didn't do anything like that. I didn't need to do any kind of internship because I got it all done earlier. And what I did was I just spent every day in that summer getting up, grinding essays. And by the end of the summer, I think I had either 9 or 10 colleges fully submitted and done. That number is like, some people don't even apply to that by the end of their college admissions process, and I had that done by the end of the summer. So when senior year started, school, at least for me, I went to an IB school, so my first semester senior year was quite rigorous, but I didn't have to worry that much about college admissions because I got so much of it done. And as the school year starts, as the school year's still picking up, you're going to keep the momentum of college apps going, and that way by the time like November, December rolls around, you're pretty much done with it. Now, when you're in the senior year, when it comes to clubs and stuff, you can just keep coasting. You're probably in those leadership positions. You just keep it going, right? And as you wrap up that first semester senior year, you're going to finish strong, right? Don't fumble the bag with your grades. Make sure that everything is just going according to plan. And now that all your college apps are submitted, you can finally take a breather, right? That second semester senior year, have fun. I went out a lot, right? Chill with your boys, spend time with your parents, and everything will just finally come together. That once the applications are sent in, everything's out of your hands at this point. So you're just waiting for the colleges to get back to you. This video is probably getting quite long, and at the end of the day, I just gave you the blueprint for everything that you need to do in high school for at least setting some level of framework. So what you probably want to do after this is, if you've watched this far and like you truly care about getting into this Ivy League school, you're gonna want to make some kind of blueprint now, like on like actual paper. So what I did was I started a Google Sheets file that I ended up using my entire high school, where I had plans like for kind of what I wanted to do every summer, what the tasks were, and then you're gonna break it down to like, okay, I'm in freshman year, here's what I'm gonna do freshman year, I'm in first semester, first month, what am I gonna do right now? What are my actionable steps? What volunteering, this, that can I look into? And you're just gonna keep following that all the way through. Make sure that you try to stay as best as you can according to the plan, and everything else just follows. When you put in the work, whether people know it or not, it always comes to light. Trust the process, put in the work, and that T20 Ivy League school admission, it is on its way. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Pratik. Like, comment, subscribe. Your boy is out.